Watching and or listening to Occupy Skidrow.us, a weekly Veterans News Net.us feature presented every Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Time, live at skidrowstudios.com. We invite you to join our discussion now. Call us at 1-800-893-9562 or text us at 310-266-9465. And now, here's your host, Chaplain Willis Buddy Clark Jr.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Occupy Skid Row. This is Jeff Norman filling in tonight. The occupation continues, but our fearless leader isn't here because he underwent root canal surgery this morning, and we certainly wish him all the best. And we are going to carry on without him. And our guests tonight are about to take a trip to Korea with Buddy. Presumably he will have healed by then. You guys are leaving in mid-September, right?
Yes.
About around the 15th, is it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. He'll be in tip-top shape by then. Buddy is irrepressible. I'm referring to the WARP Summit. WARP is an acronym that stands for World Alliance of Religions, and the P is for peace. Because if you don't put the P there, it's war, and that's completely the wrong thing. There's so many names. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it. But anyway, just so folks have a general sense of what I'm talking about, the WARP Summit 2014 will be held September 19th through 21st in Seoul, South Korea, and will be hosted by Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Light.
Right.
And that's HWPL.
Yes.
I think I may need to talk to you about marketing. If anybody can remember that, there must be a memory expert. But you're a great organization, so you can call yourself whatever you want. And you're doing that in conjunction with the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy. And this summit is hosted without aid from any governmental source. It's a demonstration of the capability of private, not-for-profit, and non-governmental organizations to play major roles in the creation of peace for our world.
Yes.
And that's kind of a tall order. So, Greg Bernard, you are the LA coordinator.
Yeah, correct.
And Stephen Acosta, you are the public relations and media liaison, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's Stephen with a PH.
With a PH.
Not
yes.
with a V. Do not pronounce it with a V, whatever you do.
It's okay either way.
Okay. So thanks for joining us. We just screened what I think is a relatively new video your organization made.
Right.
And I like the angle quite a bit, because, a lot of people are anti-religion. This is just sort of an age-old debate that always goes on. Well, look at all the trouble caused by religions.
Right.
And people who are religious don't normally own that, so to speak. But you folks are. In fact, you're saying, yeah, this is a problem, but we're going to address it. And since you are religious and since you do recognize this, you're sort of uniquely positioned to tackle the problem in that way. So I think the statistic was 90% of wars are over religious disputes. Is that right?
Yes, that's pretty true.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So that's a tall order. That is a PR problem. Now, so you're the PR guy. How do you get over a PR problem like that?
Just to, I guess, to tell you more about HWPL. First of all, we're not really a religious organization, but we do acknowledge that a lot of conflicts, around the world, or even in the past, have been caused by religious, just differences. But we do also recognize that, the world's pretty much comprised of 80% religious. So just considering the facts, if we can gather all these religions and just really, because all religions do acknowledge peace, even in their scriptures. And that's why we want to highlight too in the summit that even, different religions like Islam, Catholic and Christians, Jews, even when they greet each other, they always say, peace to you.
Right.
Right.
Shalom.
So, yeah.
Shalom, salam.
Yeah.
The whole schmagegi, yeah.
Right.
Sounds great.
So the fascinating part about it is actually a lot of these religious leaders that we've invited, they're all for peace. So it's just sometimes they people don't really focus more on the positive aspect of these religions, and they see the religious extremists that are out there who are causing different conflicts. But a lot of really high officials in their religions actually do desire peace, and that's why this summit is about promoting that aspect.
Right. So you said you're not a religious organization. Now, do you just mean that you don't promote any one particular religion,
Yes.
or you don't foster, you don't cater to people who are religious in general? Because this conference is the World Alliance of Religions.
Right.
And you're part of that alliance, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Again, we don't say that one religion is better than the other, but to say that we're trying to create a community where our religions can actually work together and create an alliance.
Right. Like here in the Los Angeles area, there's a great organization called ICUJP. Are you familiar with them? These names are so hard to remember. It's the Interfaith Communities United for Justice and Peace. That's what it's called. Yeah. So it sounds like you may have a similar mission. But let's talk about this very long name that you have. Heavenly Culture, World Peace, Restoration of Light. What does all that mean?
I'm sure it sounds better in the original language, right?
Oh, is that what it's a translation from what?
I'm sure it sounds better in Korean.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I get it. Okay.
But our the reason for our name, Heavenly Culture, is because it's not to say, in terms of religion, but in the sense that, the heavens, they give us air, they give us light, they give us life without cost. In the same way, we say peace should be given for free to all mankind. Mm-hmm. And that's something that everyone can agree with.
Okay. So I'll stop making fun of the name. I can tell you're starting to get a little angry, and I don't want you to throw a tantrum because this is expensive equipment. So what is the mission of the organization apart from this particular summit? And then we'll talk about the summit.
Well, our main mission is just to basically have an open forum for religions to come together, because even It seems to be taking place at the exact best time too, because there's what's happening in Gaza. There's even what's happening over in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the conflicts that are happening at this very moment are conflicts that are in some way, shape, or form because of religious differences. Because one person has these basically ideologies of their own that they're fighting for. Someone else has opposing ideologies. But this is really a time where we can come together and say, how can we have one heart, one thought, and ideology where we can work together now for the creation of a peaceful world?
Right. So talk is cheap. Tell me what you've accomplished in the past. You mentioned it on the phone when we talked.
Oh, yes. So one of the large things that we did do only recently was there was a large conflict that took place for the past 40 years on the island of Mindanao, which is in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that Stephen knows a little bit more.
I was actually there when it took place. So again, in the Mindanao, that region in the southern part of the Philippines, there's been an ongoing conflict between the Muslims and also Catholic Christians. So our organization came there and we did some sort of interfaith forum where actually the leader or the representative for the Islamic community showed up, and also the Archbishop for that region showed up, and both of them agreed and acknowledged the fact that both of them being leaders, they do desire peace. So being leaders, being people who actually being looked up to by their followers, they see that and they get really inspired. So that it resulted to even the youth of that region in General Santos, where they actually did a peace walk, and it created a really positive vibe in that region. Where, because even for us Filipinos, when you say Mindanao, the first thing that they associate that word with is war, or there's going to be like murders and atrocities that's been happening down there for so long. So to create that really positive image now is something that created such a stir, even in the press and even in the government in the Philippines. So even after that, actually, it started in January, and somehow it propelled to a lot of peace walks that actually now started happening in other parts of the world. We had one in Latin Americas. Again, even in Latin Americas, they too have different conflicts that they struggle with down there.
And so, was there a positive outcome afterwards?
Yes, yeah. Actually, a lot of organizations now start partnering up with us, and they want to do some work of anything that has a peace-related kind of work. So even if it's for volunteerism, helping youth organizations and different women organizations, because even HWPL has two subgroups. One is it's called IPYG, which stands for International Peace Youth Group, where that organization deals with helping different youth organizations and helping them thrive in their certain communities. And in terms of maybe financially also serving in that community. The other subgroup is called IWPG, which stands for International Women's Peace Group. So them two are created specifically for women's rights, but also it's because in times of war, mostly the people who get sent out to fight those wars are young people, and it's the mothers, and they're the ones who actually get affected a lot by when they see their kids either hurt or they see their kids die because of these wars. So we created that subgroup to really now foster for these women who have been probably victimized indirectly because of war.
So you're saying we. Can you give me some idea of how big this organization is and how many chapters there are?
For IPYG, there's about over 100 different youth groups that have partnered with us in over 70 countries around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And for IWPG, I don't know the exact number, but there's been about, I'd say 50, about plus 50 women's group have partnered with us and are willing to actually now show support too. By right now we've done a lot of peace walks, so the peace walks, our intention behind it is to really show, the community that if we come together as one and create such a stir where the world can really recognize that, peace can truly happen if we come together, with this positive attitude, and truly knowing that, if war is being fought, by youth, but the youth now decide to do a peace walk rather than, taking up arms, that's such a huge statement to show to the world.
Right.
Right.
Well, I've done a fair amount of work with peace organizations over the years, and one thing I've noticed is that peace rhetoric is sometimes very alienating.
Right.
A lot of the public feels that it's, you're just not being realistic.
Right.
Do you let me ask two questions about that. One is, do you get the same kind of attitude in other parts of the world? And the other is, do you counter that in any particular way as a publicist or just as a member of the organization?
It's funny you ask the question because even here, anything that's peace related, even media don't cover those kind of things because it's too kind of positive and too cheesy sometimes. It's too naive for some of them.
Yeah. Well, if you think about what makes for an interesting story in general, it's conflict.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have to be war or violence,
Right.
but conflict. Any good story
Right.
has some sort of a conflict. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you do have quite a challenge there.
Right. We do.
But it's not only that. It's that people, have very strong feelings about foreign policy, the need for a strong defense, so
Right.
forth and so on. So what do you do about that?
We try to stray away from those kind of topics, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we just really want to focus more on creating a positive mindset and attitude to really, help, even youth to really give them an outlet where they can actually participate in this kind of demonstration, peaceful demonstration, which is not really big these days, but I know back in the 60s and even the 70s, it was so huge that created a counterculture. So in a way, we're trying to focus more on creating that that mindset and that an outlet for them. And we do recognize that there's like other things that we have to consider, but for us anyway as a group, since we're international, there's like different policies that you have to consider in different parts of the world. That's why we've even invited different political leaders too.
Well, I think one of the ways, I get that you don't want to make too big a deal of the peace thing and the actually getting into arguments about it. But I think one way to counter without doing it overtly is to work with veterans, because they have a certain gravitas, a certain credibility,
Right.
and people aren't going to say they're too wimpy,
Right.
which is really what people essentially are saying when they say, "Oh, you're singing Kumbaya," and you don't know what the real world is about.
Right.
That's kind of what they're saying, right?
Right.
And you don't say that to a veteran. Veterans do know what war is about,
Exactly.
and they're not wimpy.
Right.
And so Buddy Clark, who's the host of this show, is going to be attending this
Right.
Peace Summit as part of a new initiative we've started. And we is the organization I work with is called the Veterans Project. And we have started a project in partnership with Peace Now, and we're
Right.
calling it Operation Buddy. And
Right.
what it is using veterans to go out on peacekeeping missions,
Right.
perhaps in dangerous places, but using the I guess credibility is the word I'm looking for, that it goes along with being a veteran.
Right.
And so Buddy is going to be going over there, and he's going to be trying to recruit veterans who are
Right.
over there and other parts of the world
We're
to join
excited for that.
Yeah. We're working on trying to solve veteran homelessness here now.
Right.
So we're kicking around a few ideas about how to join forces. One idea we had was to invite a Korean War veteran who lives in Korea now to come and
Right.
live in one of these housing projects here, should somebody be interested in relocating here.
Right.
So I was talking to Greg about this on the phone, and you were telling me about the founder of your organization is a veteran, and there is a certain connection there already, yeah?
Yeah, he is. He's in fact a veteran. He was a Korean War veteran, and he was actually in the Special Forces during the war. And I think he is around the same age as Buddy too, which I won't.
What, 130?
Yeah, something like that.
Just Dan and yogurt commercials.
Exactly. So he of course is a great example of someone who, because he has seen war firsthand, which most of our generation has not, and because of that, he has that heart for peace to actually be accomplished in this world. And we see veterans, yes, they're a very important part then of that, because they're the ones who have firsthand experienced war. They know the horrors of war, just as our founder did, and because of that, they are really able to convey that to the next generation. So,
and they're not. Some of them, I think, have turned into pacifists, and others, they're not necessarily pacifists. They believe that deadly force is necessary sometimes, but they're very circumspect about it, and they understand what the consequences are, and you better be very careful about when and principled about under what circumstances you resort to it. Now, what about your organization? Are you, obviously, you're, quote-unquote anti-war, but do you recognize the need for it sometime, or do you take the position that it's never appropriate?
Well, definitely a country will need to defend itself at times. Mm-hmm. Of course, the end result will be not to point fingers and look after one's own interests, but really to create a peace between the nations. So even during the Korean War, as we know, the country was split into a north and a south, not too different from East and West Germany. So when those two countries, East and West Germany, were brought together, we saw that, yes, it was a little bit difficult because they had different economic things going on, a little bit different of a society too, but they were eventually able to reincorporate and become one nation again. And that's something that we see happening to Korea in the future, and even around the world in different conflicts and different countries where the same thing is happening.
Well, let's talk about the conflicts going on now. I know that one of the ways, I work in the nonprofit field still, and one of the ways I prioritize what to focus on is not only what is the biggest problem, but what seems doable. Mm-hmm. And that is often based on, well, what do other people want to do? Who are our partners out there that want to focus on this or that? It doesn't mean that one problem is more important than another. It's just, well, here's an opportunity to do something. And even though there's another problem that also needs attention, I can't help it if there aren't other people interested in it, So yeah. I don't know if you guys kind of prioritize that way too, as opposed to, well, we're just going to figure out what's the biggest problem and that's it. Now, what's in the news, of course, the most is the conflict between Palestinians and Israelis. Mm-hmm. Now, in your line of work, there may be something that's not getting as much attention, but is big on your radar. So can you say a little bit about how you prioritize and to what extent you might be focusing on that particular conflict versus others?
Okay, mainly in the Gaza conflict, or just different conflicts that are going on?
Well, my question is, are you focusing on that, and are there, or what else might you be focusing on?
Also, there will actually be speakers coming from that area who will be speaking on how they think that things can be done over there, because as I'm sure you know, even when Kerry and Ban Ki-moon were sent over there, they were able to accomplish quite a bit, but even then the war didn't come to end. And I believe the casualty rate is, last time I checked a few days ago, around 2,000 on the Palestinians and around 65 on the Israeli side. So it's pretty difficult conflict. So Middle East is something that we are focusing on a lot, especially right now. And we are actually planning on hopefully having a conference in Iraq in the upcoming months.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so is part of this summit about figuring out which conflicts to deal with, or is it more that agenda's set already and it's more about figuring out strategies, or what?
Right now, actually, we've invited a lot of guests from mostly from Middle East, actually, and that's quite surprisingly amazing. There's some from Gaza, some from Syria, some from Afghanistan and Iraq. But we don't want to focus on just one area, but we want to focus on, in general, conflict. Because again, in these regions, it does stem out from religious conflicts. So we just want to create a discussion, an interfaith religious forum, where each side can just hear, what they want, and most of them do want peace. And it's up to the people attending the summit into how to create now an initiative, hopefully even a legislation that they can pass, that like what Peace Now is doing. Right? You guys are creating a peace department in every government agencies or around the world. We do kind of want that to happen too. We want actually politicians, to acknowledge that, hey, if these religious figures do want peace, maybe we should, somehow incorporate that in our policy making. So at the summit, we're actually going to have a panel where these people will just discuss, especially for the youth, people who have, like the young adults who've seen the tragedy, the atrocities that have happened in Middle East. They'll have a chance to just voice out, their experiences. And it's not to judge them in any way, and it's not to create any biased opinions or not to pressure them in any way. It's for us, the whole attendees and even the world to see, what kind of suffering and what kind of anguish that these kids have gone through because of war. And rather than creating more conflict, it's just for people now to see and just think, what can we do to really stop this? And that's what we're hoping. And it's not to say that one problem is greater than the other, but ultimately just to really focus on the very root of the problem is, and these conflicts that have been happening, and especially in the region of Middle East.
Well, we're joined by our favorite photojournalist, Rose Hugh. How are you, my beautiful princess?
Thank you.
Talk about peace. This is, just look at this face. If we just paraded this face around the world, I think we'd have peace by October 15th.
Oh, please.
Oh, stop.
No.
So can you just kind of summarize the format of the summit? Is it, for example, a lot of speeches, or do you have breakout groups and panel discussions?
Right. We have those, and we're also going to have some cultural performances. We're also going to have peace workshops. I can't go into detail exactly what's in it.
Well, what if I hold you hostage? Will you?
I think mainly the first day will be cultural performances and sort of that sort of thing. But the second day, they'll go much more into detail on discussing realistically what we can do in different parts of the world. There'll be different panel discussions on a range of topics. And then after that, I believe the third day will be a peace walk. And we're expecting a very large turnout in the tens of thousands, I think.
I believe we're aiming for 30,000.
30,000?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And will you be using the North Korea police forces, or will you be relying on the South Korea?
No. South Korea.
All right. Well, as long as Rose is here, maybe we should do another segment. Do you guys have time to stick around a bit more?
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's take a break, and then when we return, Rose Hugh will join us, and the conversation will surely take off into unexplored territories at that time.
Oh, boy.
watching and or listening to Occupy Skidrow.us, a weekly Veterans News Net.us feature presented every Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Time, live at skidrowstudios.com. We invite you to join our discussion now. Call us at 1-800-893-9562 or text us at 310-266-9465. And now, here's your host, Chaplain Willis Buddy Clark Jr.
Not true. Indeed, this is Jeff Norman filling in for Chaplain Clark, who underwent dental surgery this morning. Hopefully he's doing okay and will return next week. And my guests tonight are Stephen Acosta and Greg Bernard from HWPL. And we're joined now by our favorite photojournalist, the lovely Rose Hugh, who also is headed to South Korea. And it doesn't cost any money at all. You just hop on a bus and you're there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
So right. you're going.
That's why I posted something on GoFundMe.com. Anybody listening, please check out my page. I just created it. Told a little bit about the Veterans Project, why we're going, what we're going to be participating in, and please help me earn my airfare. I love photography. It's my passion. Yes. And I got chosen to be a photographer on this team, and I would love to participate and make it a reality.
All right, well, we can put up a link from the Occupy Skid Row webpage to your GoFundMe.
Yes, that would be awesome. People are on there with...
If there's an address that goes directly to that page, you can give it now, but if not, we'll just link to it.
www.gofundme.com.
Yeah, but then to get to your page, though.
Rose Hugh, ROSEHUGH. Right. I'm connected on Facebook with that as well. I've posted
Definitely
it.
Help spread the word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're going to go.
It's really an
Buddy.
interesting website. I mean, there are people on there from please help me send my little brother to Hawaii, to me being a photojournalist.
Everybody needs money for something. I wonder what if they turn down anything. They must have some rules.
I don't know.
But just about anything, I guess, right? So you need some money for your travel expenses.
I did. My goal is $1,200. It is late in the day. I understand that, but I've had a lot of irons in the fire and could not get to this any sooner.
Okay.
So I'm out. I have come this far on nothing more than faith, and it will take me the rest of the way.
Great. Well, hopefully you'll get the funding you need because I'm sure you'll be a big help to Buddy and also Scotty Brewer, who's the founder of Peace Now. Now, we were talking before about a sort of a new angle that just came up recently in connection with Operation Buddy, which is the alliance between Peace Now and the Veterans Project. And it's using veterans as peacekeepers because they carry a particular cachet with their experience. And so they're going to be going on not only this mission, but other ones like it. And Buddy fought in the Korean War, and he wants to document his trip back to visit some of the old haunts.
Of course.
So
yes,
to have you there you can't really make a documentary all by yourself and be the subject of it. So I'm glad to hear that.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I really hope it becomes reality because he invited me to attend a ceremony in San Diego at Camp Pendleton, and it was for the Chosen Frozen.
Chosen Frozen.
That's what it was called, and that's the Korean War, the part of the Korean War that he was in.
Wow.
And war is just such an ugly thing when we've got wonderful minds, beautiful hearts, communication. Why can't it be used? Why does it always have to escalate to war? With, everybody, as like right now, we want our boys home. And we do. We don't want war. And I agree with those words, peace now.
No
now.
Procrastinating, like
exactly.
you and your funding.
That's right. Don't hesitate. Start. Get your PayPal going.
So do you guys have specific responsibilities when you're on the scene at the summit, or do you have plenty of time that you can improvise and do as you wish, or what? Because we want to recruit you to work with the veterans.
We'll most likely be working with some of the speakers, and different people will be coming to sort of take care of things for them and prepare for that. in the meantime, I'm not sure what else we will be doing, but there's certain projects that they're working on too. So there'll be some time for us to take part in that.
Right. Stephen, by the way, is the media guru for the organization.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be part of a team over there in Korea. We'll be working a lot with different medias and press who'll be there, and different journalists too, and maybe I can hang out with Rose when she's there.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And I'm pretty sure she'll be there.
Yes.
Yeah, make sure she doesn't drink too heavily. What are the rules there?
Yeah, you guys don't stress me out.
Oh
Okay.
no, we won't.
I'm just kidding.
How I was saying it as a joke, but seriously, what can you tell me about Korean culture there? Now, we're talking about South Korea, of course.
Mm-hmm. Like in terms of,
compared to the U.S. of A.
okay, well, it's very different there.
You seem a little nervous about that.
What I heard is,
don't worry, you won't get into trouble.
in Korea, Korean culture, here in the States, where it's so easy to talk to someone and do like eye contact, but for them, they actually don't like eye contact that much, and they're very reserved kind of people.
Right.
They're very high in their etiquette. Right. So even when they greet each other, it's they bow, and it shows a lot of respect and humility. And they're
Either
pretty
that or they're looking at cleavage. Probably. Sorry.
And they're pretty soft-spoken for the most part. But Korean culture is pretty rich because I don't know if you guys have traveled there before, but they do have a rich history because they're smack dab in the middle of Japan and China, so they kind of share both culture. And also Korea it's called a homogeneous society where they really hold on to the identity. It's just this recent couple of decades so they've actually opened their doors to a lot of international foreigners to live there and do business there. But before, it's really frowned upon because actually there's a person that I want to invite to the summit too, and she's actually a part of the parliament. She's Filipino. I mean, she's Filipino descent, but it's the first time ever in the Korean history where there's a non-Korean person in their parliament. So her platform anyway is to create an immigration agency where it will really create, really open the doors of Korea to pretty much the whole world.
Right. And what about women treated as equals to men, or is Rose going to have to hide in her hotel room the whole time?
Before, maybe back in the days.
The president is a woman currently.
Yeah,
so.
currently.
Oh, there you go, Rose.
Oh, okay, that makes
Maybe
you feel a lot better.
Yeah. Korean women are very, energetic, and they're really hard workers too. So they're all, they're seen as equals now. It's men over there.
So what does Rose need to know? I mean, what kind? Does she need to know anything about food or anything? Do they have mostly Asian food, or or is it like here in LA where there's food from all over the world?
I have a good friend who was living there. He was actually an ex-roommate, a very, very good friend.
Right.
And he went to USC for liberal arts, so he's into education and teaching. He wanted to teach abroad, and the next thing we know, he's got a job over there in Korea, and just awesome. And he's been back and forth since telling us about it.
Right.
And he introduced me to something, a food called, now I know I'm going to butcher this, Dak Albi.
He's from the Philippines. What does he know?
Okay, I don't know. That was a
heard of it,
Korean,
but
like one of their
what's
main.
it like?
Oh, it was delicious.
Was it like
my
a
goodness.
meat? Or?
It was kind of like a Benihana place where they prepare it, but it was mini version of that because they prepare it right there at your table.
Right.
And
I live in Koreatown
Yeah,
now, so I may be the biggest
Koreatown.
expert
Yes,
right
actually,
now.
I like Koreatown. I like their food, but I have traveled, and I hope that it's everything that it is here, because sometimes when you travel, it's quite different.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have a great time going there. I mean, there's like several places that you can really explore, and even myself, if I have the time over there, I want to explore, because there's like different really historical places where even really old temples and old palaces, are they were actually destroyed, but now they're restored. So it's just a good place to know more about the history of Korea. And also there's a War Memorial Park there, where it has all the U.S. and Korean like old like airplanes and helicopters that were used during the Korean War. So that'd be a good place for you probably to go and take pictures.
A lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's also in Korea the DMZ it's called, which stands for Demilitarization Zone,
Okay.
which is actually the most militarized location in the
geez.
world. But it's basically on the border of North and South Korea. They have
I'll
this.
step very, very, very carefully. I'll drop back a few feet, let me tell you.
Don't worry, these are peacemakers.
I know. Okay.
They have a track record.
Yeah.
So how many people will be attending the summit?
It's hard to say exactly, since we're sure there will be also many people coming in from the local community who will be attending the event also. But internationally, there's in the thousands. I know from LA alone, there's how many? Around 300 to 400 people are coming.
Wow, that's a lot.
And this is for spiritual leaders?
It's mixed with like nonprofit.
They're political
groups,
leaders too.
political
Several
leaders.
former
Oh my
presidents,
goodness.
and
Oh my goodness.
There's gonna be a lot coming from
I
Europe.
can't know how much I really want to be a part of this.
Don't
and
forget to
the
bring
more
the
I
battery for
hear-
your camera. You don't want to miss anything.
That's right.
Maybe bring an extra battery.
And myself. No, I can't.
It's gonna be
lose
really an
energy.
exciting event, and I wish Jeff could be there too.
Well, somebody's going to have to watch Koreatown while you guys
You're
are
right,
away.
you're right.
I don't know if all those people
You
from
have to
LA are coming.
go. You
Oh,
have
no,
to
no,
go,
no.
yes.
I've got very important things to do here. I can't think of anything offhand, but I'm sure there's some reason I have to stay.
Oh, we're
Oh, to host this show. To host the show. That's,
Okay.
what it is. That's it. Right.
That's one of the top things that you need to do.
Do you know this kind of is part of Korea culture? There was I guess fashion called bow ram culture.
Not that I'm aware of,
Does that okay? That person was really good friends with my good friend over there, and they created a like design and I saw his pictures every time he posted something new, and they had a lot of fun together. She passed away.
Oh, that's nice to hear that.
Yes, but it was evidently very popular over there.
Right. Korean pop culture is everywhere these days, and even in Latin America, you'd be surprised that they know about K-pop down there.
Gangnam Style.
K-pop. Oh
There you
my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger here. That's for sure.
For sure.
So is the are there still openings if people want to register to attend the conference, or is registration closed?
It's still open, I believe.
Yeah, it's still open.
Okay. Is there a
Of course, we're
website
wrapping.
that you want to give out for information?
Yeah, if you want to register, it is I believe
Warp Summit.
Warp Summit 2014.
Warp, WARP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
World
Summit.
Alliance of Religions for Peace.
Okay, Warp Summit
2014.org.
2014. Very good.
If you think warp isn't quite the right word, if you drop the P, it's even worse.
Yes.
The World Alliance of Religions, and
We have our
it.
choice, war or warp. Oh boy.
Warp.
They sat around a conference room deciding what to do about that. And they decided warp is not as bad as warp.
You know, you were saying
together.
the culture is very polite and everything. I do remember, I believe he was a Korean man from Korea when I went to London.
Right.
And here I am, and all of us kind of flew in separately. And I was making my way to where we were staying, my friend's flat. And out of nowhere, there's this man walking by me. Oh, I help. And he took my luggage and he carried heavy bags and everything for me. He was just an angel. I turned around and there he was. And I'm pretty sure he was Korean, and just like what you were describing. It was a good example.
We call that bellhop, sir.
Yeah. I didn't have to tip him.
All right.
There's
I got
actually
it.
no
The
I guess
kindness
the
of his
definition
heart.
of an angel is a bellhop who doesn't take tips.
Yeah. No.
They don't actually take tips there either. So if you go to a restaurant, you don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to tip.
Yeah,
Really?
I would like to
Really?
experience that.
Awesome.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about calculating. How much tip I should give.
It's exciting too, because I hope that the younger generation is always my heart. Passing what are we preparing for the next generation?
Right.
And I hope that a lot of good things will come for them through this summit.
Yes, we are too.
Well, they have a special youth division that has, 50 chapters, you said?
Right.
So that's quite an emphasis on the youth.
Over 100 youth organizations in different over 70 in over 70 countries around the world. Yeah, so they have a really big chapter, and they have branches everywhere.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm really hoping that it grow really big in the Philippines, and it's catching up there. So, yeah.
All right. Well, you feisty peaceniks are really doing it. It's very impressive. And I hope that we can continue this conversation even after your trip, because then you can report how it went. Or even while you're there, because, this is, they have this thing called the World Wide Web and digital technology. So if you guys want to send us some images, some sounds,
definitely
some information about what's happening.
Yes.
We'd love to.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's why I'm staying. I need to receive this information and disseminate it here on the mainland.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything else that anybody wants to say? Any demands anybody wants to make before we sign off?
Oh, are we allowed to give like a shout out?
Of course.
Okay. I say it every week, and I'm not going to stop, because everybody has to check out my friend's website. She's an actress, and it's really worth your time to look at her website. It's Penelope Skidrow, SUDROW.com. Check it out. You can buy pictures. It's a really cool website. She was in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Oh. She was born into the industry. Her parents pioneered it. Her father was the star of the Guiding Light series, if you remember that. She danced. She was born into all of it. And she danced with like Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire at a very young age. And she was on stage with a dance team at the Hollywood Bowl, like by age 5. So she wants to start her own nonprofit for emotional abuse. And she has had her own roller coaster. Let me tell you, she's no stranger to what the world can dish out and how cold it can be. So please check out her website, because it's worth it.
While we're talking about very personal things, did you have that dinner that you were talking about over the weekend that you were nice enough to invite me to? Did
yes.
that happen?
Hey, it was so fun.
Who showed up?
One person.
Who?
Somebody that wasn't even invited.
Oh, nobody I know.
No.
And it was pasta, I think.
Yes.
I love pasta.
I just decided at the last minute, I ran it by my roommate. I said, hey, why don't we invite a few people over just to keep it totally simple, if they want to bring their own drinks or whatever. Just
you allow drinking at this thing?
No.
Now you tell me.
No. Iced tea. Java from Trader Joe's.
Do you still want to hang out with her in Korea now that you know what a troublemaker she is?
For $1.49.
Oh, all right.
No, we did pasta, we did salad, and I was at Trader Joe's getting the iced tea. It's tea Java.
Ah, Trader Joe's.
Yes,
who doesn't
Trader
like
Joe's.
Trader Joe's?
And so I bumped into him, and he was standing there, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's James the Hat. He's part of our mental advocacy group that I'm with. And he was there, and I said, hey, come on over. So he did. And that's
a mental advocacy group.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Mental health. You don't understand.
Okay.
Mental health advocacy group. I've learned a lot about schizophrenia. I'm like the only one that isn't diagnosed. And they knew that I really cared about them, because I work with those who are autistic. And I did, and that led into disabilities in general. And then one of my clients had mental health, mental illness, and that was his support group. And it just, boom, kind of went full circle from there. So,
well, good for you. Talking
we had
about
a great
angels,
time.
I think we may have an angel in our midst.
Why weren't you there?
I was so tired and overworked,
brother.
and I had.
You need pasta to pick you up.
I'm
a runner.
There was a big event at the Vortex.
Store up your energy.
You don't want to hear it all. Now, what about you guys? Anything else that you want to mention? Say hello to anybody? Any vendettas? Any hits that you want to?
Oh gosh, I just want to shout out for Buddy, I guess, and really looking forward for him to being there at the summit, and hopefully he'll be in his 100% condition.
Yeah, he's a very valuable player, possibly the most valuable player, and I certainly wish him all the best as well.
Yes, and my prayers are with you, buddy, tonight.
Come back soon, buddy.
Yes, we love you.
Anything that you want to close with, Greg?
Please, if you would like, come to the summit, stow away in Buddy's suitcase, or any other way that you find possible.
Okay, and the website again is what?
HWPL Summit. No, Warp Summit at warpsummit2014.org.
Warp Summit
2014.org. Or you could go to hwpl.kr.
Okay, and the website for our show is occupyskidrow.us, and we'll be linking to Rose funding project, or whatever the word is. Pitch? Request?
GoFundMe.com.
Right.
And you just have to punch in my name, Rose, R-O-S-E, Hugh, like the first name, H-U-G-H.
Okay, that's actually more direct and more immediate. So anyway, we've given folks options on how they can help us. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight, and thanks to the delicious Jenny and her lovely boyfriend Andy and everybody at Skidrow Studios. And let's wish Buddy a speedy recovery. This is Occupy Skidrow, and my name is Jeff Norman. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
watching and or listening to OccupySkidrow.us with Chaplain Willis Buddy Clark Jr., a weekly VeteransNewsNet.us feature presented every Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Time, live at SkidrowStudios.com. For more information and all of our past episodes, please go to OccupySkidrow.us. Thank you for joining us.
It's a brand new day, brand new day, brand new Listen to Skidrow Studios anywhere with the